Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon and today I'm going to be giving my second thought on Insomnia. Spoiler warning, I am going to be going over the whole plot of this film, so if you haven't seen it yet and you don't want anything spoiled, then click away now. Thanks. So this film came out in 2002. It's the only film that Nolan's directed that he didn't at least help write in some way. It is a remake of an older film, but this one is the one starring Robin Williams, Al Pacino, Hilary Swank. If you don't know the plot of this film, there's this town in Alaska where it's either day all the time or night all the time, depending on what time of year it is. At this point in time, it's day all the time. Al Pacino plays an LAPD officer who is called up to investigate a murder in this small town in Alaska. None of the cops in Alaska have been able to solve it. They're more small town type cops and not really big into detective work. He is a veteran seasoned detective and he knows his way around, so he's called in to help out. Hilary Swank plays like the up and coming cop who she's like kind of the only one that takes herself seriously in the town. All the other ones don't take herself seriously. They kind of just joke around. They think that they know more than they do, and she wants to do everything right and wants to be the best ever. She's actually idolized this Al Pacino cop before. Now, pretty quickly into the film, Al Pacino solves the case, but he solves it in a bad way. So first of all, he's chasing the villain, played in this film by Robin Williams, who does amazing, and accidentally shoots his partner in the process. And so that is then seen by Robin Williams' character, and he can then use that to blackmail Al Pacino's character, because Al Pacino's character has kind of a sketchy history where he's kind of fudged some things, lied about different things to get his way, and if all of that comes out, then it really undermines a lot of the police work he did, and a lot of stuff has to be redone, and I think even some people would be let go that shouldn't be let go, stuff like that. Now, my biggest problem with this movie is that it does put too much weight on Robin Williams' words. In this movie, you've got Robin Williams as a murderer, pedophile, just a messed up guy, and he's on the run. Yet he's blackmailing this police officer, saying, "Oh, I know that you shot your partner, and you did it because you did it on purpose. I know you did." And he tricks him into believing him. And there's two ways you can take this. One, the cop is just an idiot, because there's no way that his words would, mean anything to those cops. He could have gotten away with it so easily just by saying, like, "No, he lied. He shot him, and I caught him." Like, it wouldn't have been that complicated. But you can also argue that this is where the insomnia comes into play, where Al Pacino's character is just tired, not just in this moment physically because he's not getting sleep, but because he's been restless for the past few years, knowing that he's lied about these different things, and his guilt has built up. And so even though Robin Williams' character's case isn't that strong, Al Pacino's character still can fall for it and still be manipulated and blackmailed by it. I'm not really sure how I feel about that. I'm not completely sold on either one. I think that is the weakest part of this movie, because everything else about this movie is great. But that is such a central part of this plot that it can get kind of frustrating when you're watching it going, why is any of this happening? So I kind of do understand the backlash that this movie got, or maybe not backlash is the right term, but it didn't get quite the acclaim of any of other Nolan's films because of that one glaring plot hole that may or may not even be a plot hole. It's just kind of not great. It's not as good as the rest of the movie, but getting that one thing out of the way, the rest of this movie is fantastic. Robin Williams and Al Pacino are both amazing. Hilary Swank also holds her own against two fantastic actors, which is just impressive in of itself. I haven't seen her in that much, but in this movie, she's able to hold herself against Al Pacino. You don't really see her in contact with Robin Williams much, if at all, in this movie, but against Al Pacino, she's great. And then like I said, Robin Williams is phenomenal. Robin Williams is always great, especially in his dramas, but this may be like one of his, if not his best performance. I don't want to go out and say it's his best performance, but it is one of his best performances. He pulls off sinister and evil so well, and this is in a time where he was still trying to prove that he could do that. Sure, he had done some other films in the 90s, and this is 2002, but he was still trying to prove that he wasn't just that manic comedic actor. He had some actual ability as a dramatic actor, and he does more than enough in this movie to prove that. Now, Nolan's directing is great as always, but because this isn't his writing, it doesn't have the same flow as most of his movies. It's told for the most part kind of just ABC. There's no real non-linear storytelling. There's no real major plot twist or anything, but it does still have the same kind of questioning morality idea behind it, where eventually Al Pacino catches Robin Williams at the end of the movie, and I guess Hilary Swank helps him. They catch the bad guy, and Al Pacino is shot and may or may not be dying. We don't really know. It's kind of left open to interpretation, but regardless, he's like, I want to come out and tell the truth. And he tells Hilary Swank, but then he also is like, we have to tell everybody. Not because of the case anymore, because Robin Williams is dead and gone at this point, but he just wants to actually have the truth out, regardless of what happened. It's kind of the opposite of what we talked about in Memento, where in Memento it's like, I'm just going to close my eyes and pretend nothing happens so that I can be happy. This is the opposite, where he's like, I can't keep ignoring this anymore. The ends don't justify the means. Truth has to be out there. I have to do the right thing, even if it's harder. And so it's a much different take on the same idea, I guess. It's still a very Nolan idea, even though he didn't write it, and I'm sure that's why he was attracted to the script. I'm sure that's why he loved the original movie and wanted to remake it, because it is a very Nolan idea, even though he didn't write it. So the writing in this movie isn't as good as most of Nolan's writing, in my opinion, but it is still good writing. You'll notice that in some of the scenes between the cops, the writing isn't as good, where they're just like supposed to be hanging around and talking to each other, and it's just very forced. Like they've got one of those like who's got two thumbs and whatever type jokes, and it's like that didn't fit into the scene at all. But anytime it's dialogue between any of the three main characters, it's phenomenal, and it's acted so well that even if it was bad dialogue, you wouldn't care. Once again, it's a pretty straightforward story. There's no major plot twist or anything, but Robin Williams' character is so well written and he's so intelligent in this movie that even though there's no major plot twist, it keeps you guessing a little bit, where you're watching Al Pacino think he's outsmarting Robin Williams, and he's not. Like, you see him try to plant a gun on Robin Williams in his apartment, you see him trying to outsmart him in different ways, and Robin Williams' character is always one step ahead, and it's so much fun to watch. I love movies like that. It's one of my favorite things you can get out of a villain, is to have the villain always one step ahead, even when you think that you're catching up, or even when you think you're getting ahead of him. He's like, nope, I saw you doing that a while ago. So it's a great villain, really underappreciated performance by Robin Williams in this, and Al Pacino as well. So if you haven't seen this movie yet, which you may not have because it's not really talked about at all, then you should check it out. It's really great. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and yeah, that's what I thought. If you have a different opinion, or if you have the same opinion, let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.